All right, what is up? It's your boy, Matt Mason. And today, between the two of us, BK, do you think that the two of us could place in a conference meet in a 4x4? We take turns, high school girls. You think just the two of us, if we just rotated?
Strong conference meet or like a Boondocks conference meet?
Let's go Boondocks Scotty.
Yes.
Boondocks, Wisconsin meet. You think we could do it?
I mean, can you run 62 twice with a 60-second recovery?
Me? No.
I think. Oh, then no, we can't.
Okay.
I think in the Boondocks, you got to be able to run 60 to 62 across the board to be able to place in the conference meet. Otherwise, you're gonna have to be sub 60 for sure.
I just did a 4x4 a couple months back down on Lakefront for a run club in Milwaukee, and they did it in front of the art gallery, and it was literally it was an out and back. It was 200 out, 200 back, literally like stopping on a dime. And I think I ran like a 68 high, 69 mid. Now, you think maybe I lost a second or two on the turnaround?
It's more because of the cost of reacceleration and braking. Like energy-wise, you're on the razor's edge in a 400.
Okay, so then maybe
I'd give that.
But even then, okay, but even 3 or 4. Okay, all right. So then, then best case scenario, I'm a 64 low to 65 low guy.
No, we can't. I can't balance that out.
I don't know, dude. Super shoes come a long way.
The 400 is the first distance where I would say I don't think I would run any faster in a super shoe than a regular shoe. Shoe, not spike. Shoe. For sure, I will not run any faster.
Well, we're talking gateway. I mean, we're talking conference meet, right? So we're wearing spikes. We're on a track, baby.
Yeah, they'll help. The super spikes will help a little bit there.
All right, dude. So call me a 62 guy. Dawson's going to get in the comments and say, I don't know track. That's fine.
They're not going to help us that much. It's not going to take us 64 to 62.
Ah, well. A guy
no, I'm saying we can't. I'm saying you and I.
Okay.
2x4 by 2.
Yeah.
Do not place in a women's conference meet, regardless of where you drop us in, unless it is like way out in the sticks.
All right, let's go with the Scotty boys. Although I've left now. You, me, Debo, Dawson. I'm obviously pulling the team back.
Oh, for sure.
How are we doing?
We're gonna do great.
We're gonna do great.
We might be able to do it if you lead off and run anchor, and I try to just run a flat 8 in the middle. Give you double recovery.
Yeah, that sounds
even
painful.
then though. I don't think I can run a flat 8 fast enough. I don't think we can do it.
Yeah, can you? What do you think your 800 time is right now?
It's always right around 2. I'm getting.
So we'd have a shot.
2:0. Last time I did one, it was 2:01.
All right, so we'd have a shot. All right, well, if you haven't picked up on it by now, it's your boys today. It's just Matt and BK. We've never done this before, so this is going to be interesting. It's been a long. Actually, I don't know that in Race Brain history, doing a panel discussion, we've ever had just 2 people. There's always been at least 3. So this is going to be the only time we're ever just 2 people is when we're doing an interview. And I'm not interviewing BK today. Although maybe we should have you as a guest for an interview at this point.
Do it.
You know, we will.
What's the topic today?
Well, the topic today, we're going to talk about a couple things. It's exciting, gang. We are back. We're in the thick of races. And this weekend it kind of feels a little bit like 2023 today, BK, because we had races this weekend that had a lot of high-level athletes in them. We had HYROX Stuttgart and HYROX Atlanta, and they both lived up to the hype. We had a lot of Elite 15 athletes competing this weekend and a lot of Elite 15 hopeful athletes competing this weekend. We were just talking about this before we logged on, like specifically the Atlanta race. I feel like we see this a lot in Europe, but I can't even remember the last time we had a heat as stacked as the men's field was last night in that Atlanta race, in North America specifically.
No, we were thinking that maybe 2 races ago, last year in Toronto was the closest we've seen, but even that was divided between heats. So no, I think this was just the best we've ever offered in a non-major.
Yeah, and honestly, no disrespect to that 2024 Toronto race, but it was Marcus, Dawson, Megita, and Stiefer. Those were the only people that were Elite 15 hopefuls and or borderline elites at the time. And none of them were in the Elite 15 because at that point, Megita was coming back from injury. I guess he had technically raced Worlds at Nice, but he was kind of a not where he used to be. And Marcus, I don't think Marcus had not made his Elite 15 debut
That
yet
was
because
their
he wound up
breakout.
because he wound up making his debut in Vegas, which was after this. And Stiefer would have been the only Elite 15 athlete in that race.
Now we had arguably the Ruck hybrid co-goat in that race. I believe wasn't Austin Azar up there.
Yes, I believe
so. That adds some panache to it, but it's not enough to offset what we saw down in Atlanta.
It's been a while. It's been a while. So we're going to get into those races. A couple of things. This is old news at this point, but we're never going to miss an opportunity to let BK wax poetic on something. So BK, since the last time that we have had a HYROX specific podcast, HYROX has course corrected on their Elite 15 card.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call it snafu, where they announced on October 24th, I believe was the date, that they were going to, starting January 1st, anybody who had raced from September 1st on and did not have a card, their time would not be eligible. This obviously caused a massive, backlash, or caused massive whiplash and backlash, as that is not what they made it seem like when they rolled it out. And many athletes had run very strong times and did not have pro cards. And so those times would not have qualified. They quickly rolled it back literally a day later and said that they were going to enforce it from that day forward. And they were also going to retroactively apply it, but they were giving everybody, they were going to retroactively apply it to the day previous that had happened in Birmingham, but that they were giving those athletes who ran a race 24 hours to get a card. So those times counted. BK, your thoughts?
Well, it was obviously a bad decision from the jump to take an amateur sport and apply a pro card option. And then when it didn't sell like hotcakes, like I think they thought it was going to, say you have to have it to get into the elite races and to have your times count for qualification. Okay, that makes sense. And it started a few months ago. Like that's not a thing you can do. And even now with we're going to start it as of yesterday, but you have 24 hours to do it. The only reason to really have this pro card really is because it mandates drug testing.
Yes, which to be fair, I don't know. I have not talked to any of the guys in Atlanta, so I don't know if they got drug tested last night. But we do know for a fact the top 5 men and I would imagine the women, but the top 5 men in Stuttgart got drug tested this weekend.
Right. And since the other people that this would apply to didn't get tested, getting the card within 24 hours doesn't invalidate or validate a lack of a test. And they don't then go get tested as part of the card. So it's really just having the card for card's sake to establish a start point. So they could have just as easily said, starting next week, you all have to have it, or starting next month, that this 1 day retroactive 24 hours, it gets people in. It kind of just forces your hand that you've got to get one now. So it's a better decision, discriminating is the wrong word, but not outlawing people's times because they didn't have something that they weren't told they had to have. But it's still not the perfect decision, but it's certainly better.
This is not the point of today's conversation, but I am curious as to your thoughts, because this kind of came to me, and I think we kind of covered this on HYROX through the years. They do always make it right, with the exception of the Joanna Chalkgate from Hamburg. They do typically always make it right, with the exception of that. Why do you think they continue to get away with it? There are other sports that we have seen that they do stuff like this and people are just like, you know what? I've had enough.
They don't have a competitor. Who are you going to turn to get your HYROX fix? In real pro sports, which we're approaching, but we're not there yet, they make bad calls all the time. They propose rule changes or they implement things and try it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like last year's kickoff rule in the NFL really just ruined kickoffs. It took it to a non-factor. And this year they listened to the feedback and they looked at the stats and they changed the rules again. And right now you're seeing it with the tush push. They decided to not make a ruling on it, but every talking head and coach you talked to said, we're not even going to complain about it anymore because it's not going to be here next year. It just won't be a thing. So even at the highest level, they're making bad calls. HYROX just seems to not, they say they have an athlete panel. They've got this group of people they can draw from, but they seem not to run certain important decisions past them first to get just a real obvious, hey, don't do that, do this instead. But you're right. They listen and they make the right decision next. And that's better than anyone has ever had an OCR or hybrid. No one ever listens and makes actual decisions based off that. So in my mind, they're still, even though I'm complaining here, they're still winning overall.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think that it's because they have done a very good job of like appealing to the masses, and a lot of their decisions and missteps don't impact the majority of athletes. Like for instance, wall ball counting technology at Worlds that affected the Elite 15. It didn't affect the everyday man. Even changing the turf at Worlds. Yeah, that affected the top 1% of athletes globally, but it doesn't affect the everyday man. And the top 1% of athletes globally, if you put a bunch of time, effort, and energy into getting better at HYROX, are you going to stop doing it just because they changed the turf? No, you've got something sick and twisted in the head anyway, and you're going to keep doing it. So that's probably a fair point. The other thing that happened this weekend was
I want to follow up to that quick though, of why people don't turn away.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I have had so many messages come in about the quality of the events recently. And we briefly talked about this on the history of HYROX episode, but I just had a couple athletes I work with run Stuttgart, and they said that this is a quote from them. The best way to describe it was professional. It was the most professional race we've been to yet. They're not talking HYROX. They're just saying in general, the best event. The venue was incredible. The setup was excellent. The in and out were very well designed. It was huge. It felt like something special. It wasn't just a race. It was a full-on, well-oiled event. So, I mean, that type of feedback right there is why they're not losing people to other places, is because even when they do make mistakes, it's not one step forward, two steps back with them. It's one step back, two steps forward.
Yeah. 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 I mean, everybody that was in Atlanta this weekend said that it was awesome.
You said that about Boston. Everyone's saying it about every event.
Yeah, it was not as well. I don't think it was as highly attended. Let me look at this. Yeah, numbers are down a little bit for these races, but I think that has more to do with, I think that they miscalculated on how important Halloween is in America. Yeah. That sounds silly, but I had somebody say like, oh, that doesn't make a difference. And I was like, what do you mean? They're the top category. The top two categories for HYROX in America are basically 30 to 50, which is parents.
Yeah.
And kids.
You can tell your kids we're not going trick-or-treating.
Yeah, we're not going trick-or-treating. You know, like I know the only reason why Kent even went was because it's close enough to drive that he was able to do trick-or-treating with the kids and then go the next day. But if you had to catch a flight, like, come on. Yeah. So
that's one of those things you wouldn't understand in Europe.
Yeah, I think all of our non-American listeners are like, what the hell are these people talking about? Halloween's big here. It's big. Did you trick-or-treat on Friday, PK?
We had ours the weekend prior on Saturday and Sunday. And then
that's the weird thing about Wisconsin that I never understood is they trick-or-treat it like on Sundays from like 2 to 4.
Yeah. But then the kids went out with friends in a different city on Halloween, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So they went 3 times. They're in
it. What they dress up as, BK? What did we get?
Well, we started with a soccer player who transitioned into a princess the next time, and then the other one started as a princess and then took over the soccer playing costume as a result. I was a shark. Yeah. I'm a shark every year. I have a shark onesie.
Nice. All right. The other thing that we had happen that I feel like is noteworthy, at least here in the States, is for those of you that signed up for Phoenix, you probably had a minor heart attack and called your bank to see if you could take out a second mortgage because of the exorbitant prices, which I guess on the one hand, I didn't think too much about. And no, that's not because I'm just loaded. Dawson, before you come in my comments, it has nothing to do with that. I just assumed that maybe it wasn't, or maybe it was more expensive because it's going to be at the stadium where the Arizona Cardinals play, and that cannot be cheap to rent out. So I thought they were just passing on the cost. However, literally 24 to 48 hours after the public sale occurred, HYROX sent out an email letting everybody know that they were misaligned with their ticketing provider and they had overcharged singles by $30. They had overcharged doubles by $30 to $35 per person, and they overcharged relay by $15. They apologized and said they would be issuing refunds and that you did not need to contact them. They would be handling it themselves. BK, what do we think went wrong here?
I'll take them at face value. I had an athlete though. I got messages from every athlete who signed up for that, by the way. Screenshots. Can you believe the new prices?
It's insane. It was actually insane.
Yeah. But then on that front, it's still in line with a marathon. And if you look at the hours spent on site and the production value, we're going to get to that price point pretty soon, I would guess.
It's cheaper. It's still cheaper than a marathon, which is a good point. And I will say that based on the conversation we just had, like everybody needs to get prepared for your point for the ticket prices to increase.
Yeah.
And I for one can be okay with it as long as the production value continues to increase. Now, what it might mean is the days of doing 6, 7, 8 races in a season might be numbered, not because we can't do it, but because we can't afford it. So that might be the thing, which actually may not be the worst thing in the world for individuals.
Four is a great number to do.
Yeah. But
back to your real question, what do I think happened? I have someone I work with in finance who is like, well, they quickly found out what their customer flexibility is on this and what they're willing to allow on their on price inflation here. They got real, whether they intended it or not, they got real quick feedback on where their ceiling is right now.
Yeah, that's my guess, because there's still you can still get tickets for Phoenix. So my guess is they thought this is a major, this should sell out quickly, and it didn't, and it probably is because of those prices. It is going to be incumbent on them if they're going to charge this. Again, like I'm a loyal HYROX customer. I love HYROX. I'll keep doing it. But if the game day production value starts to decline, then everybody's going to have to make a business decision.
You don't get a lot of tangibles at a HYROX race. That's the one thing that's very interesting to me. Get a lot of intangibles, but you don't walk away with an armful of stuff or a belly full of stuff where you would.
Like at the marathon. Yeah, the marathon, you get a shirt. Typically, you get a medal, which you also get. And you get a beer or two. You typically get food.
Yeah, there's
included
a tent with refreshments at most races. Even local 5Ks, they have donuts and beer and coffee and stuff set up after. At least in Wisconsin, you do. I
also think the photo packages, not that marathon photos are good, but I also think the photos are typically included.
I think they usually are not. Some may include it, but many are.
Yeah, I think at Chicago it was. I could be wrong. Maybe I paid for it, but I thought that the photos were included.
No, HYROX, not to like dump on them more, but they have the easiest event to photograph you could possibly have out of any sort of race because it's a fixed track.
100%.
You don't have to get people out on course. You can sit in one spot. You have one photographer per spot and just you're set. So anyway, the experience is great, but you are paying for the experience there. You don't walk away with a lot of freebies.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to find ways to keep adding value in order to charge what I think the price point they put out there, what I was seeing like 220. Something like that. That's a fair price point, I think, but they're going to have to convince people of that with some goodies.
Dude, long way from Schaumburg 2022 when I think I paid $100.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
So speaking of coming a long
see.
way, we just did our last time I was on here. I was with Jack. We were doing the Jack and yourself. We're doing the history of HYROX, showing how far it's come. Can I just give you some stats to open up here?
Yeah, hit me.
Now, I gave you these stats already in the group chat, so you can like take 15 seconds, do what you want with your life. I'm speaking to the masses here. But this is what we saw for men in Stuttgart. 11 athletes sub 57. 14 athletes sub 58 and 19 sub 59. Talk about where this sport has come in just a few short years. Those numbers are astounding. And it's not even like we can point the finger at this and be like, this was done in an airport hangar style course. Could this course have been a little fast? Yeah. But 19 men sub 59, all the way down to 11 sub 57. How long ago was Rich Ryan flying out everywhere he could because he just needed to run about a 58 to crack into the Elite 15? We just had 11 people run a minute faster than what he had to do at that time to get into a major. It's just astounding the level of competition. And this was with our most well-attended North America race happening the same day across the pond. This isn't just like everyone showed up. This is just everyone locally showed up and crushed the standards that used to be in this sport.
Actually, I was going to get into this. I was going to get into this later.
Okay.
After we went through Atlanta, but I'll just ask the question now. This has been a theme throughout HYROX history, as far as I can remember. Do we think that at this point, no two courses are the same? It doesn't matter if you're in the same country, let alone like courses in Germany aren't even like necessarily comparable. There do seem to be some countries that have slower races. As an example, I didn't realize this. Did you know there had only been like 3 or 4 sub 60 performances at a Birmingham race in history?
No.
Prior to this past weekend or 2 weeks ago. So like UK is typically slower. The US is typically slower, although the athletes then tend to do well in head-to-head matchups.
Yeah.
We obviously are not seeing these times out of American athletes. Do you think it's the courses, or do you think it's what we've kind of already alluded to, which is in Europe, they can just race more frequently so they get more feedback, and we don't have as many opportunities to race here? And when we do, it's like, for instance, we had Atlanta this weekend. We've got Chicago in 2 weeks, and then it's Dallas, and then it's Anaheim 2 weeks after that. So and then we're done for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it because we don't have the frequency of races to be able to put up those times, or why do you think there's such a discrepancy?
I think all those are valid. I think I could just say yes to each one of those. But there is something to this, and we see this on a world stage as well, where United States endurance athletes typically don't pop off races as fast as the rest of the world as frequently. But then at championships, they seem to outkick their coverage to some extent, and the rest of the world either matches what they've done or they fall well short of it. And we just saw this, let's say, at the New York Marathon this past weekend, which was also must-see TV. We have every year, New York is a world major marathon, and they bring in the who's who of marathoners. And just this weekend, the woman broke 2:20 for the first time ever on the New York Marathon course. Whereas now she's since been popped for drugs, but we've had a woman break 2:10. So they're running 10 minutes off the world record, and it's the fastest that's ever been done at this major. And you see the same thing at these world championships and at the Olympics. You might have 40 athletes who have all run sub 2:03 for the men's marathon, and the championship gets won in 2:05. And half those guys are dropped off the back. And it's just simply because majors and championships are raced and won differently. And it's hard to be a good fast runner and a good racer at the same time. They're two different skill sets. And I don't know why. I don't know if that explains anything that's going on, but it seems to be the same thing with US-based athletes right now. Dylan's popping fast times every time he runs. Let's call him Yard Nagoose of our sport. I think the championship record tracks with that as well. Like he can win at any given point, but he hasn't won.
I don't think Dylan listens to race brain, but if he does, I think he's going to appreciate the yard and the goose comp.
I think he's his player comp, and I love it. And then we have all these Europeans who we like. Again, we just saw Ploj again, and we saw several athletes run super fast times. They haven't yet replicated this at the majors. So I don't know what it speaks to other than that this happens to our triathletes, and this happens to our track athletes, and this happens to our marathoners. And I don't know what it speaks to, whether it's training style or competition, like the community that they're in, or the availability of high-level meets more frequently throughout the year. I don't know, but it's real.
Yeah, because like as an example, our own Jack Bauer raced this weekend in Atlanta.
He did.
Threw down a PR, 65-30. That was good enough for third in his age group, which, by the way, Jack's in the 35 to 39 age group. I had no idea.
He's got a youthful glow to him.
He does have a
seen full strength sunlight in his life.
That's true. That's true. That there's something to that sunscreen. He's looking good. He's looking good. I just looked for fun. That would have been good enough for 8th place in Stuttgart.
Yeah.
This man got a podium. So in theory, Jack may have actually gotten, I'll have to look. Jack may have actually gotten a world spot out of that. Because I'm going to assume that Kent didn't take it. And I don't know, Joe Stacy may already have one. No, he doesn't. Okay, never mind. But in theory,
56-58 Stuttgart here, 103.12.
Yeah, we're talking like 8-minute difference.
56-58 would have been 5 seconds behind Cole Learn in second place. So in the battle for second place, it's just now different fields we're drawing from. We already talked about Halloween and everything, but this is not an anomaly. This is the way these things go. And
it's how it's been happening all year, which is why I brought it up.
Part of me wonders, this is total speculation, and I would be part of the problem if this is truly the case, but that we come from such an OCR base here that Europe just came into this training and thinking about this sport differently from the jump. And as a result, they're just getting different types of performances than we are. It's a guess. It's theoretical, but is OCR the best base for this? I'm not sure.
Well, but I'm even thinking, and we will get into the races now, but I mean, I'm even thinking about my homie Kat Fossbender, who just ran 2 seconds off a PR with a 62.55. Her PR was Chicago Worlds, where she took 3rd place overall in age group and ran a 62.53. And she beat a lot of women that raced this weekend. But just doesn't, she like, I'm pulling for Kat hard. Like I love Kat. I think she's great. And I think she's a great athlete. And I think she's strong. And I think she's going to have a good shot to get in via the regional that we're going to do. And that might be her way in, but 62.53 is not a bad time, but it is to get into Melbourne, a minute 15 off.
Yeah.
And that time, 62.55 is actually, she's 30th. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think Kat Fossbender is the 30th best female in HYROX right now.
No.
But her time says she is.
No. Yeah. Not to keep bringing this back to running, but I'm going to. This kind of reminds me of running in that if you go over to Africa, let's say Ethiopia, Kenya, everyone in their village knows someone who's a 13-minute 5K runner. Several people. Everyone knows 205 marathoners. There's 10 of them in their local running group. You go over to Europe, everyone knows a 56, 58 HYROX guy. Everyone knows a 62-minute HYROX woman. Over here, how many people at their gym have one? Very, very few people. Like if you're not in Colorado, you're not in Milwaukee, you're not, where else do we want to say?
Milwaukee.
There's very few places in the US, let's say Texas, that have a 58 guy walking around your gym or a 56 guy. There are very few places that have a 62 woman walk around your gym. And so just the atmosphere you're around has absolutely been proven to bring people along to those times. And we don't have that here, but they all can race.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's part of it as well. You're not surrounded with the same times that you just assume are super attainable because everyone does it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying though. I mean, that makes sense too, because it's like, okay, even if you blow up, if you're consistently racing against top tier athletes week in and week out, you're more like at some point you're going to get pulled along. And even if you blow, it's kind of like the Hamburg effect where, Dearden looked like he was gassed and still ran a sub 58 in last place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. Like Kent came into town for 2 days and he left. I was like, man, I just picked up a bunch of stuff that guy's doing that I'm not doing on a daily basis. Spend a weekend with Rich and Jack at a wedding and you leave like, oh man, they're doing some things on a daily basis I should absolutely be doing. Well, some of these places just have all those guys and girls in their gym every day. You're just watching how it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. We had the return of the Meg. A lot of people talking about it. Big news this weekend in Stuttgart. The 2024 world champion Meg Jacoby put the injuries behind her and came back with a bang. So that's where we are going to start. Your top 5 HYROX Pro women from Stuttgart this past weekend. In first place, the American Meg Jacoby with a blistering 58.09, followed by Lena Putters with a 61.04, Ellie Stenfors with a 61.05, Tanya Strohschneider, who at this point might be the female version of Charlie Bottrell. She's racing every weekend, 62.10. And then rounding out your top 5, Melanie Marr with a 62.17. BK, your thoughts on the return of the Meg?
That's 2-part. First is that any woman out there who is holding out hope that this thing was not going to be a smooth transition back, that the podium's a little more open this year, like we saw at some majors and especially world championships. I'm sorry. Like Meg's right back to being a problem. She is who she was on her first race back. What, second fastest race?
Yeah,
her second fastest race?
Yeah, her fastest race of all time is that 58 from Amsterdam, the last race she did before she was hurt.
So she's right back to every bit time-wise as good as she's ever been. And we we tend to on the outside see an athlete go through something, come back, and the moment they're good or back, we just assume that like the door has closed on the past and now it's just back to good. Like that's not how injuries work. Injuries linger. Fitness builds not linearly. There's a chance that this doesn't go smoothly with her and that she has more trouble this year at some point, but there's also a chance that she's not back to full capacity yet in every single column that she used to be in. And so we're seeing this time, and I don't care how much faster the course was. Let's say it was 60 flat. There's no way she's at 100% capacity compared to where she was prior to the injury. So this is just across the board, this is bad news for the female field.
It's hard to disagree with that. I mean, where do you find she took a conservative 420 ski? I mean, she blasted the sled push 226, number 1 in sled pull 326, 252 burpees. It's not bad. 417 row, minute and a half farmer carry, 250 sandbag lunges, and then she just does what Meg does and goes unbroken on the wall balls for 320. And her total run time was, this is confusing, 27:18 plus 5 minutes. That's 32:18 plus 48. So she was 33:6 was her total run time, which I'd have to look is probably, no, her run time in Amsterdam is 33:47. So she was 40 seconds faster on the runs, and she probably had some there on the stations. Her ski erg was slower, her push was slower, her pull was slower, but her back half was, I mean, she still got some meat on the stations that she could take off. I mean, this is like,
it's bad news.
Yeah, to your point, like it doesn't even look like she had a serious injury, but it like, and I'm not, back injuries are nothing to, I'm not downplaying it whatsoever, but it's like she never left.
I know it's kind of gross. And if you and I were coming off this, any athletes coming off of this, where is this going to show up? It should show up in the run. It should show up in absolute strength and power. And it should show up, if you're losing anything or you haven't raced enough, it should show up in transitions. You may get up to speed running, but it's going to take a little longer to transition out and get up to speed. There were 5 minutes of rock zone on this course, and her net run was faster. The rock zone should not be as fast as the rest of your running, unless you're JK.
As an elite race, for sure.
So what do we even make of this? It means that she transitioned well, and she's not sharp. Her sled push and pull across the board, people struggled with pulls this weekend. She was a little slower than usual, but like her power's good. Her back half was strong. You should fade at the back half if you haven't been doing this kind of thing. The signals of what should go wrong were not there for her. And again, there's just no way she's firing on all cylinders yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone was questioning whether or not she was going to get in. If you were, you probably need to figure out if you're taking crazy pills. But yeah, I mean, she only needs one more race. And then right now, the line is 61:40. So she could literally go out there
that day again.
Yeah, exactly. She could just go out and run a race. And even if she runs her, I think she debuted at a 63. I think even if she runs a 63, she's safe.
Well, the biggest problem for women this year is how the sport's trending right now, which seems to be the sleds are starting to really hurt people. We saw some long sled pulls. Meg is not going to struggle with the power. She's like, some of the other top women have shown flaws in certain areas here or there. Meg has not. If she gets beat, she just gets beat. It's not because she cracks on the pole or cracks on a farmer's carry or can't lunge or wall ball at the end. She can do those things.
Yeah.
And she's still doing those things despite having gone through a real back issue. So it's just bad news.
I cannot wait. We only got to see the Meg, Joanna, Lauren dynamic one time. And Joanna is obviously a much better racer now than she was then. I cannot wait for Meg to be back in majors and to watch the three of them. It just gets me as a fan of a sport. It reminds me when all the hype was going on of the Lauren, Michaela, Meg battles, and seemingly we're going to get that for the foreseeable future. And it's just going to be so fun to watch.
Well, anytime a major titan of a sport gets injured or a team, a franchise that's a dynasty drops off a little bit, people get really excited for a little bit because now there's parity and it's wide open and anything can happen. And then as soon as it comes back, everyone goes, you know what? The sport is better for having the heavy hitters there. Even though it was cool and fun to have it, parents were out of town for the weekend. We had a little bit of fun. Like, it's better when everyone's back here. And that's what this season's going to show, is that, and this women's side is going to be unbelievable if we get all four of those women every single week.
No, for sure. For sure. And then honorable mention to Lena Putters here, who looked like she was having a tough race because of the race that Meg ran. But she was only, I'm just double checking this. She was only 11 seconds off her PR. So obviously she had the tough break in Hamburg when she missed, I mean, I call it a tough break, but she missed a lap. And before farmers carries, and then got the penalty. And then obviously we all saw what happened of her crying in the wall ball penalty box, waiting for the 3-minute penalty to get up so she could finish. So great race for her to come back. And honestly, for Lena, that's good experience. Like getting to race the former world champ and stick your nose in it. I mean, she's going to be a factor this year for those races. The thing that really sticks out to me is, you see some of the other names in this race, and like this field was stacked. I mean, after the top 5, we had Zara Piergiani, we had Viola Oberlander, we had Alice Schur, we had Simone Feld, some big time racers and names that we've seen before. What's interesting to me is, whereas in the men's field, which we'll get to when we get to the men's pro side, we're seeing a lot of guys get really close to those, get in those 55s and those 56, or at least get times that are, they at least have one time that gives them a shot if they can replicate it. The thing that I've noticed, and this is just an observation to start the year, that women's line is really hovering in that 61 range, that 61 high range. And we're not seeing on week in, week out, we're not seeing a lot of women be able to get sub 62. Like, this is kind of the old men's sub 60. Like,
Yep.
it's like, if you were a sub 60 man, you were in, and there weren't that many of them. Now there's, now we're talking about being a sub 56 guy, which is crazy. But on the women's side, this 62 line is holding pretty strong.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know what to point to other than maybe they're just one season behind the guys. So I have a question.
Yeah.
This is tangential, but you talked about Lena with her missed lap. Now, I'm all in favor of time penalties for missed reps because it's really hard to quantify what you saved and what you didn't. If you miss a lap on the run, is there a reason not to add it on before wall balls?
I mean, I think you know where I stand on this.
I actually
think
don't know where you stand on this one.
I think they should make them run.
You should just make the lap up. Is there any advantage to be gained?
I think Jack said this. I think the thing to do, I think Jack's recommendation, I don't know how they would operationalize this, but let's use the Lena situation as an example. She skipped a lap pre-Farmers, right? Yeah, because she came in and we were like, how did she make up all that ground?
Right.
She skipped a lap pre-Farmers. When you realize that's happened, I feel like at that point, you make them go out on the next run and you do the lap then. And yeah, that's going to suck for you when you get to lunges, but like, that's running you should have been doing.
Yeah. I just, other than the positioning shift, I don't think there's an advantage to getting less time in between stations. Whereas if you skip a length of the sled pull and go out and have to come back and redo it later, like you haven't been blowing yourself out and just doing one extra length, that's an advantage.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you point that out. This is obviously not a training show, but Kent is a big fan of, like I just did a version of this yesterday where you do the workout is effectively 400 meter run station, 400 meter run station, 400 meter run station, 400 meter run. And then you get a little bit of rest and then you do it again. The station switches. But the reason why he does it that way is his thinking is 400 meters is actually not enough time to clear the lactic that you're building from the station work. Right. Because in theory, like Rich talks about this all the time, HYROX running is not fast running. No. So unless you're just completely out of shape, the run in a sense is a little bit of recovery or gives you time to flush the lactic. But running a shorter distance, you don't actually get to flush that lactic that you're building, because by the time you're done with that 400 meter run, if you're running at threshold, presumably you're back to the station and then it's filling back up. So to your point, I don't think running less, if you're hammering it, is actually an advantage.
No. And then adding an extra run before wall balls at the end, I think only hurts. Like no one wants to run after the lunges. So no, I don't agree with the time penalty. I agree with time penalties for leaving a station early, because once you stop that buildup of fatigue at the station, it's like doing partition Murph versus unpartitioned. Like as soon as you partition it, it's gone. You can't quantify what that's cost or saved, so you just have to take a penalty. But the runs, I don't think you've helped yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd be in favor of just keep track of it and send them out.
I agree. All right. I think that covers the women in Stuttgart. Tanya Strohschneider it looks like she did improve her standing with the 62.10, but only barely. She's now at a 62.08 is her combined time, and that is 28 seconds off where she needs to be to get in. So we will see. All right, on the men's side, this is crazy. You already mentioned some of the numbers. Your top 5 men on the weekend: Tim Wenisch, reigning world champion, with a 54.21. Sean Noble with a 54.45. Liam McCrory, 55.49. Alan Plow, 55.58. And Graham Holiday rounds out your top 5 with a 56.07. BK, your thoughts?
is unreal. Now, we've seen some of these gentlemen pop big times in the past at their local races. We've seen some of these people do it in courses where you're like, I don't know, but they're all doing
Yeah,
it
like
on the
Allen,
same.
for instance, the only time he got close to this was Berlin, but then every other time was
Right.
58s.
But now we have a Tim here running a 54.21, and that sets the curve. Now we get to see what the standard is. Sean's 54.45 looks otherworldly suddenly because Tim beat him. Like that justifies Sean's performance. Having Liam and Allen, it's just these times to me, I don't know what the course says, but Tim Wenisch says by being there that this course was somewhat trustworthy in how fast it was. Even if it is a little fast, if you're running within a minute and a half of the world champ, it doesn't matter what your time was. You did really, really well. So the fact that these people did this is kind of unreal to me. And every person's time on here weighs more in my mind because Tim set the curve.
What's scary is I feel like Tim is typically a little bit slower at the beginning of the season. So this was a 54.21, which is only 28 seconds off of his Chicago World Championship time.
Yeah.
You know what his run difference is?
A
minute 40.
Really?
Which means he basically stationed faster.
And that's a problem, right? If it was the reverse of that, we could say crazy course. If he was a minute and a half faster on the runs, we could say, well, look at that. Stations he struggled, but the runs are short or whatever is going to be. But the fact that that's what it was makes it harder to even try to explain away this time.
And the sleds were fair. I mean, none of these sled times, none of these like that. That's the thing from race to race that you might look at and say, oh, well, that had a difference. But like 2:15 push, that's what the elites are doing these days. They're doing between 2 and 2:30 at the top end, 3:23 pull. That's more than fair. Yeah, nothing in here is crazy. 3:41 wall ball. I mean, which by the way, if Tim's going to get better at wall balls, the field is got to be worried.
Yeah. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, don't hear me the wrong way, people, but someone's going to. Let's say this is a minute fast. Sean Noble still ran 55.45 and was with Tim. Liam McCrory still ran within 22 seconds? I'm sorry. No, a minute 22 of Tim. Like it doesn't matter what time we put here. Tim's the reigning world champ and has already been competitive this year. These are legit.
Yeah, these are legit times. And it's just crazy. Like, saying that our top 5 here ends at 56.07. I mean, Dearden ran a 56.27.
Yeah.
I mean, nasty. The line right now for men is, so Allen is now in for Melbourne at the 55.50. He's 1 second ahead of Ator. And who knows
how
many
a chance
people
here.
Yeah. Liam McCrory, he definitely improved his time. He's up to 19th. Let's see. Cole Learn, I believe, was in for Melbourne. Is now out. He's 20th. His 56. He did improve his time to 56.11, but he's out. And Graham improved his standing, but Graham is sitting at 24th. Listen to this. Graham Holiday is out of the Elite 15. And if I would have told you 2 years ago that Graham Holiday was not in the Elite 15 with 2 average times of 56.34, you would have laughed. Graham Holiday was trying to break 58.30 2 years ago. Now he's 2 minutes faster, and he's on the outside looking in.
And likewise, if we 2 years ago said we have a newcomer to the sport who's gone 56.11 as the average, you'd be like, oh, you think they're going to win their first major? You're like, oh, I'm sorry. They're 15 spots away from qualifying for a major.
The 40th roll down, or sorry, not the 40th roll down. The 40th place time is 57.12.
There are people who've been top 10 at Worlds who've never run that fast one time.
That's crazy. I mean, it's wild. And there's going to be names on here that we don't. I mean, Yannick Chopla, who's an Elite 15 athlete, it's a 20th place, 59.02.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Schiller had an off day, ran 60-10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like 30 spots out of contention.
It's insane. It's insane. Sebastian Iverson, 12th place, 57.03. Ator was 56.59. That's not even good enough. Sub 57 is not even good enough for top 10 on the weekend.
56.59, you should be carried through your town streets. I didn't go top 10.
I know. These times are, this is crazy. It's crazy. This one's wild. Some of these stats are just nuts. Dearden ran a 56.27. He didn't even get an age group flag.
And this is why I started by saying, thank goodness Tim's there, because if Tim's not there, we're having a different conversation right now.
It's insane. But it's insane.
Tim proves this course. Now Jack will be able to do his thing, but I don't care. At most, you're going to see a minute swing on this, which still makes this race crazy. But I don't think you'll see a full minute on this. I think you'll see 35, 40 seconds.
It seems it seems fair. It does seem fair. Okay, really quick, let's cover the doubles results, and then we'll move on to Atlanta. On the pro doubles men's side in Stuttgart, we had Marco Nicic and Alexis Bernier with a 49-41. Jeremy McConnell and Fabi Eisenlauer 50-09. They also had a 15-second penalty. Tim Wenisch, Michael Barch 51-19. For those of you that are wondering at home, Tim is a friend of Michael. Michael's partner bailed, and Tim, being the good guy that he is, ran with his buddy. That was probably the race of a lifetime for Michael. And then Alan Plo and Doman Dornick, 51-19. Pablo Sanchez Santos and Pablo Valverde Reyes, 51-31. Let me just do a quick check. I do not think that this switches up the Melbourne races for the men.
While you're looking on that,
I guess it technically does, because it's confusing because some people like Jake Williamson are on here and Tim are on here with multiple people, and so is Ronk. But Jeremy McConnell and Fabi, that's good enough for a time. They're in. And then I would guess that means that it's hard to say. But Jeremy is definitely in after that time. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that if you take a look at the 8th place team and the 9th place team, you have 4 Elite 15 athletes there. Sebastian Iverson and Yannick Chapla and Peter Schiller and Florian Gast. We have 4. I believe ahead of them in 1st through 6th, you have a total of 3 Elite 15 athletes. Double check my race math, if you will, but that's crazy. We had 4 of the 7 Elite 15 athletes in the top 9 teams took 8th and 9th. Again, the talent and the fitness that's out there right now is unreal.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And then on the women's side, your top 5, Manuela Garcia Caparros and Seka Arning, who is like the Jake Williamson on the female side. Seka Arning is collecting doubles partners like Infinity Stones. The 3rd fastest time of all time with a 54.59. Linda Meyer, your reigning world champion, and Meg Jacoby, the previous world champion, throwing down a time of 55.25. That's going to be a team this year. They did what they needed to do to get into the majors. Melanie Marr and Jennifer Nicholas, 56.50. Simone Feld and Tanya Strohschneider, 57.21. Rounding out your top 5, Nicole Perinetti and Gloria Corbetta with a 58.09 on the, in terms of where this is going to net people out. Meg and Linda are in. That's also going to mean that Seka and Manuela Garcia are in. And then it'll be tough to say after that, just because it gets confusing. HYROX really needs to clean this up. They need to make these doubles teams declare who they're running with so they can clean up these leaderboards, because it is just too damn hard to figure out what's going on. All right. On to Atlanta. We'll start with the women. Light field, we only had 77 racers in this race, although we did have some big names. Kat Fossbender took the win with a 62.55, followed by Tara Jackson. She is back, 63.31. Newcomer Rachel Wade, 65.49. Jaden Velasquez, 66.07. And rounding out your top 5, McKinley Kiefer, 66.23. Other notable names and big names in this race: Janelle Teal, Amy Brown, Maria Fetchick, and Lauren Griffith. Obviously not taking anything away from the winner of this race, which we'll get into. Lauren Griffith posted about this. She had some issue with her shoes. Looks like she was wearing Alpha Flies, and she just could not grip the carpet when she was trying to pull the sled. She wound up having like an 8-minute sled pull.
Almost 8:50 something, I think.
Yeah, she did finish with a 1:11:25, but that definitely kind of killed her race. But the story here is Kat Fossbender, who ran a 62:55 and is now 2 seconds. That's 2 seconds slower than her PR. I think I'm probably going to offend someone because I'm probably off here, but Kat has been, at least recently, has put up the best string of races over here on the U.S. side of the pond, and is looking to crack in. So, BK, your thoughts on Kat's race?
Well, she did it mostly alone, it appears, and that's just a pure performance. Then she wasn't dragged along. She hadn't just proved like her recent results are legit, and she's only going to get better. And you need to be able to do it alone in this sport, and you also need to be able to do it in a crowd. And she seems to be able to do both. So I'm bullish on her outlook this year. How far off is she? Is she like
she's
40 seconds?
About a minute 10.
Minute 10. This is where it sucks. Like, not taking away, a lot of women deserve it, but it sucks for us over here that we have an up and comer here, and she's going to take some luck to get into a major right now. But who knows what happens? Is she going to do Chicago? Is she going to do Anaheim? Like, maybe we're having a different conversation in a month.
Yeah. You got to think that she would be one of the. I don't think it's too early to say who the favorite would be, but she would be one of the favorites to win that regional race, to get in the Phoenix race.
This is where that thing becomes a beautiful concept.
Oh, for sure.
You don't have a way in, now you do. I like it.
Yeah, 100%. And then Tara Jackson, good to see her back. She is recommitted to HYROX. She's going all in on the rocks. She ran a 64:44 in Toronto and then dropped a minute 15 here in Atlanta with the 63:31, which is a solid time. And good for her. Hope that she's able to continue to chip away. Those were probably the two most notable performances in this race. Again, no disrespect to the other athletes, but in terms of getting close to that cut line, those would have been the most competitive times.
Yeah, not a big field like I maybe thought we would have had. But again, we already touched upon this. Timing is bad for anyone with a family.
100%. On to the dudes. Dylan Scott taking the win, 55:19. Cole Learn in second place, 56:53. Wisconsin boy, we got a Scotty boy. Steven Pelkoffer with a 57:43. Then everybody's favorite fitness influencer, Jack 4D Fit, with a 58:28, and Colin Stieford rounding out your top five, 1 second behind his former doubles partner with a 58:29. BK, your thoughts?
Dylan has just become a metronome, it seems like. There have been talk from the beginning about Dylan as an athlete that you never know what you're going to get, but it seems less and less to be true. It's more and more, it seems like we're dealing with old intel on this. He just goes out and he's taking care of business every single time he races, in not even just recent memory. He was on another level from the jump, and I don't think this even showed what he can do currently. I think he's on a different playing field right now.
I was messaging with him. I'm trying to pull it up right now. I was messaging with him earlier, and what I said to him was, you're going to be a real effing problem for everyone for the foreseeable future. And I do believe that to be true. And he said some things back about what he hopes his floor would be, and he didn't tell me that I could share that, so I'm not going to. But I think that If you were continuing to disrespect Dylan, which I don't really know how you do after he takes third in the world, and Chicago, these are his last 4 solo times. 55-19 last night in Atlanta, 53-38 in Hamburg, 54-58 in Chicago at Worlds, and then a 53-27 in New York. Dylan is firmly is it fair to say that he's firmly a sub 55 guy?
Yeah. Yeah. You
I
got
know
2
he didn't
sub
go
54s.
sub 55 last night, but he won by, I mean, I don't want to say he took his foot off the gas, but BK, he won by a minute 34. I mean, so which means that by the time Cole got to wall balls, let's just look at what those times were. Dylan's wall balls were 350.
Yeah, he's over halfway done.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not a race.
Yeah.
Like, he probably could have chunked it the rest of the way and he still would have won.
And the reason I think Dylan's a real problem here is that he's only getting faster as a runner and he only can get stronger as an athlete. You have a lot of people who are about at the end of one or the other. He's not.
31-13 is just a run total with Roxanne.
Rich,
423 Roxanne. This is a big Roxanne.
Some of these guys may not get much faster. Hunter may not get much stronger. Tim, Dylan, Joanna, these people with long, lanky, wide frames, like wide shoulders, long limbs, but they're lanky still. These are the scariest athletes to deal with because you know they're only going to add more to their repertoire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his race right now. So 31-13. I'm not as good as you. What's that? Let's see. 31. I said 31-13. So let's see what that is. 31-13 for 8.7. 545 pace. So he's running 545 pace, 350 ski, 244 push, which he could maybe get a little bit of time there. 321 pull, pretty good. 206 burpees, 347 row, 123 farmers carries, 304 lunges, and 350 wall balls. I mean, like, yeah, like the wall, the knock against Dylan used to be if you got anywhere close to him in wall balls, you might get him. But I don't know that that's the case anymore. His average wall ball time used to be 4:53 in the elite races. He's now down to 3:50. I mean, he's taken a minute off that, and he probably is still going to get better there. Like, where do you get Dylan?
Well, that's the thing. You look at Dylan and you say, okay, well, we can get him. He probably can't put out much power on the ergs, right? He just literally doesn't have the mass to throw into them. Ergs reward mass. We'll get him there. That's not a thing. Dylan's spectacular on the ergs. Push and pull for sure. Well, Dylan's one of the best pullers in the field, which is depressing. And the push, like, he's not bad at by any means. He's actually kind of good at the push. Well, by the time he gets through all these, he's going to be tired. He's going to not have enough power. His burpees will suffer. Well, he
206.
Arguably the best burpier in many fields. Like, okay, well, he can't lunge with those legs and that much fatigue built up. Well, no, he can be sub 3 on the lunges, which is spectacular. It's like, well, farmers carry, we at least know those arms can't do that. No, sub 130 farmers carry. You don't have to get any faster than that. And then wall balls, he can still, like you would say, there's some meat on the bone there, but he's firmly sub 4, which means he's not giving up gobs of time. Someone goes unbroken on him and they can take 20 seconds max. Yeah, Dylan's going to take that out of your run already. It's just, he's a scary prospect. And I was semi-critical of his training methods from the start, but his training methods have gotten him to the point where it's really hard for him to damage his gas tank. He doesn't puncture his gas tank in races because he can work so closely to his capacity without taking big dings that he's a scary prospect to deal with. And this notion of him traveling and doing poorly has been, at least for the time being, dispelled. Like, what are you going to do to Dylan?
I don't know. I don't know how you beat him. I mean, I guess I do know how you beat him. You are wrong. Can you stick with them? And then to your point, you out wall ball him at the end. However, Dylan's still young. He just turned 30. So he hasn't even reached his endurance prime yet. And he's going to get better. Like, I mean, I'm Dylan at some point in the next, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say Dylan at some point in the next 3 years is going to be a HYROX world champion.
He might win this year. He's my favorite to win this year.
That's what I'm saying. It might be this year, but if it's not, like he's that. And as long as, knock on wood, as long as he stays healthy, he is going to be a problem in every major race, and he's got that dog in him. And so, like he's gonna break through. It's just it's not really, in my mind, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. He's gonna break through.
He's also the only athlete at the top that I can think of. Maybe JK. But even JK has had some fluctuations in blips, at least for a little bit in certain races, who have never seen his running form crumble. He's always tall. He's always strong. He's always running with strength and purpose and pace out there on course. JK, we've seen have a little bit of a down blip in maybe 2 races, but then he finishes strong. I think he's the closest I've seen to it. Like even the strongest of the strong runners at some point have had their race where they just kind of crack a little bit. We just haven't seen that with Dylan. His running never forsakes him because he's never fully trashed past the point that he can recover from. And I don't know if that's purely his training or if he is the most intelligent racer out there and can just, because he's done more reps at everything than anyone, that he knows his line better than anyone and can just feather it. I don't know what it is. It's got to be a mix of everything, but he is insanely tough, but also insanely intelligent with how he uses his energy. So I know I'm going on and on and on about him, but Dylan will be the first to tell you he shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. And yet he's become maybe our most trusted commodity at a high level in the sport.
Yeah. What else is there to say? He's the man. Cole Learn, backing up his 55 mid with an impressive 56.53. He was right about 32 high on the runs and 24.17 on the lunges. I mean, this guy is an animal. 246 push, 330 pull, 221 broad jump, 356 row, 127 farmer carry, lunges 244 and a 334 wall ball. I mean, so maybe big strong guy like him, maybe he pushes a little bit faster, maybe he uses his mass a little bit better on the row. But I mean, Cole's going to be a problem. He's probably going to get a roll down at some point, and when he does, can't wait to see what happens there. And then, I mean, we have to, because it's our show and because we're Wisconsin boys, we have to talk about the Wisconsin boy coming through, Stephen Peloffe, letting the world know that Jack can say that the hybrid Becca is New York all he wants. And sure, they've got 20 million people or whatever it is. But Wisconsin boys are just built different, dropping the sub 58.
With punching above our per capita. That's what we're doing.
With the 57.43. I mean,
how old is he?
Yeah, he's my age. So he's I think he's probably like 32, 33.
Got room still too.
I know. And
I mean,
honestly,
if we're grading off the Bevel Aqua curve, he's got decades still.
He's got decades. I hate to say it, but he, I think, is now the fastest man in Wisconsin. Although he technically lives in North Carolina right now. But Debo was 58.04. And Dawson was 58.04. And then Marcus, I do think, has a 57 next to his name. But what was it? It was
40.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Debo. Please don't steal my lunch money. Debo is still the fastest man in Wisconsin at the 57.33. So I take it back. But he's within 14 seconds of you, Debo.
So now we need to find out from Jack, how many states have 257s from men?
Just saying. Probably, I mean, not a lot. Not a lot. Very impressive performance. What?
Do any states currently have 2 sub 58s?
All right, who are the sub 58 Americans? You're really going to test me here. The sub 58 Americans are going to be Marcus, Rich, Dylan, Hunter, Kent, Rylan. That might be it. Who else would be American men? Stiefer, I don't think has.
I don't think so.
Oh wait, no. Stiefer's gone sub 58 once. I think he did it in Atlanta. Yeah, he did 57.46, and Stiefer's in Tennessee. This race brain teaser. I don't know. I don't know that there's any state in America that has 2 sub 58s. That's gonna be race brain teaser.
I'm gonna try to figure it out right here. I think that we're leading the nation.
Yeah. What has Grayson gone sub 58?
I don't think so.
His PR is 58.12, but he's in Idaho. So yeah, I don't think sub 58 is pretty exclusive in the state still.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I'm just saying we got the most sub 58 guys. All right. And then shout out to our boy, Jack Driscoll, friend of the show. Jack with a PR 58.28 in his quest to get into the Elite 15. This is a good step forward for him. His previous oh no, he said that's weird because I thought I saw him make a post that this is a PR for him. But he ran a 58.17 in New York. Maybe he's not counting that because of the sleds.
Could be.
But yeah, 58.28. That's a minute faster than Toronto a month ago. So.
Oh, you know who we forgot?
Who?
And he's technically Gabe Heck. 57.22.
3 boys. Who's got 3 sub 58s?
Now he's a technicality, but born and raised. I'm calling it.
Technically, Peloffer's now a technicality too, but so. All right, BK. I think we did it. Any other thoughts on this Atlanta race?
No, I'm happy here where we're at.
Yeah, I think we did it. We did it. All right, let us know where we got it right. Let us know where we got it wrong in the comments. Like and subscribe to The Drop, which is the newsletter. Make sure you hit that like button on where you get your podcast. Shout out Resolute Coffee. What we got going on TRP this week, BK?
Well, we got Kirk is hunting. He's taking a bit of a vacay. So we have an episode from last week that we're going to release this week. And you might even get me solo dolo. Just spouting off from the mountaintop, whatever's on my mind.
We talking PED testing?
Nah, I don't need to talk about that right now.
A lot of people asking.
I could just do drugs and shoes every week.
Drugs
Rinse
and
repeat,
shoes.
but I'm not gonna.
Drugs and shoes.
You have any requests
for topics?
Yeah.
You know, it would be kind of interesting. We got a little RMR and TRP beef. Rich went solo dolo this. No, it'd be interesting if we started some.
Oh,
okay. Rich went solo this week and talked about running for HYROX and like what makes a good run program.
Okay.
And
is this a direct response to Hinshaw?
What did Hinshaw say?
That you shouldn't run 80+ K per week, especially since all the elites are doing long, slow distance. And so your body only knows how to go long and slow. That
might have been what the impetus was. He didn't mention Hinshaw by name, at least not that I've
just
heard.
now.
Yeah. He did not mention Hinshaw by name, but it was interesting because he talked about like, what type of running actually makes you better at HYROX. And like a lot of people, you know, we've kind of seen this wave now, people doing half marathon training specifically and marathon training, thinking that's going to translate back to HYROX. And I think I haven't finished the episode yet, but where I'm at, he's basically making the point that it doesn't really translate because he actually gives a hat tip to TRP and Kirk for coming up with the term compromised running and then giving you the credit for taking it global. And now it's a thing that people talk about, and it wasn't a thing a couple of years ago. But he basically talks about how running a marathon gets you better at dealing with the fatigue that's built from running. But even that can never replicate the fatigue that's actually built from a station mixed modality.
Yeah.
It's probably not worth the damage that it's going to do if you're trying to get better. So
maybe I'm not going to listen to it, and I'm going to do the same exact topic this week, and then compare notes with him afterwards.
There might be something there.
I'm in agreement on that. And it's interesting because is training for a marathon any different than the volume that a lot of these guys do, like Dylan? From a 20,000 foot volume standpoint, no.
Yeah, because most of the top, I think most of the top guys and top females have cut their run volume. Like I'm not.
I'm talking about aerobic volume.
Oh, aerobic volume? No, probably not. But I'm thinking like when I was training for the marathon, and I am as average or below average of a runner as you could possibly be. My biggest mileage week was 55, which would be nothing for someone like Rich or Meg in their peak days. But now they're not even getting close to that. They're all running sub 40.
Well, they're getting to the point, and it's going to help Hinshaw's case a little bit in that they're becoming triathletes where they're maxing out their engine, but they're going to continue doing it in other modalities and reserve a lot of their running for purposeful run. I don't believe that junk miles really, really exist. Only if you're running junky, like bad form. But the more modalities you have to deal with, the less you even need easy running.
Yeah. Something to think about. Maybe
I'll do this week. Maybe I'm going to do my response to something I didn't even hear.
That would be very BK of you. I think the people want
brand.
I like it. All right, man.
Tell you what, if Kurt can't do it, that's what I'm doing this week. You heard it here first.
I love it. We got a little TRP, RMR beef. All right, man. We did it. We out.